You hear public conversations about politics, and you can really get an idea as to how people think, how they see the whole current day political situation in the United States. And today I went out to a diner and I overheard two women talking about politics. And of course, they're talking about Donald Trump. Because when Americans are talking about politics, they're usually talking about only one branch of the U.S. government. That is the executive branch, right? I mean, most people don't know about, Congressman so-and-so, Senator so-and-so, Representative from Chicago so-and-so, right? Like, most people don't give a crap about that. They just like to focus on one branch, the executive. So they're talking about Donald Trump. And one of them says, well, this whole impeachment thing is just a bunch of nonsense. So you hear stuff like this, and it's not just in the public dialogue. It's not just in the public conversation. You hear a lot of this type of stuff on Twitter, Facebook, and the like. And the people who love Donald Trump still love Donald Trump. And the reality is, Donald Trump still has a very loyal constituency. He still has a very loyal base. And they are still ever so willing to vote for him. For one thing, you have people who think that Trump's going to lose and all that stuff. Well, we were hearing those same types of opinions before Trump won back in 2016, right? They were, he's not going to win. He's too white. He's too conservative. He's too right-wing. He's too outlandish. He's too crazy. He's too out there, too in your face, whatever, right? Too rash, too abrasive, right? They were saying things like this. He's not going to win. At that time, 2015, 2016, before he was declared to be the next president, the successor of Obama, at that time, I was thinking, wait a second. These are the very reasons why he's going to win. When they were saying, these are the reasons why he's going to lose, right? Abrasive, rude, mean-spirited. He doesn't play by the rules, whatever. He says things that can... he says things that are implicitly racist, right? He says anti-immigrant remarks, right? He makes all these things, right? He makes... generalized statements, discriminatory statements regarding undocumented immigrants. This is why he's not going to win, right? It's too much for the American people. I'm looking at this whole situation and I'm like, wait a second. This is why he's going to win. It's like Bill Clinton. People were saying, he needs to be impeached because he had a thing with Monica Lewinsky. And when it was revealed that he really did have a thing with Monica Lewinsky, people liked him even more. It's like, it's like when Bush bombed Iraq. Plenty of people supported it. So, is this impeachment thing really going to hurt Trump? Is it going to hurt his chances of being reelected? No, it's just not. It's not going to make a huge difference. What it does do for Trump is it brings a lot of attention on him. Now, there has already been a lot of attention on him, but this increases, it amplifies the attention on him, because now it makes it look as though that there is a blatant plot to get him removed. Remember how when this whole Russian collusion thing was such a big story? Remember when it was such a huge headline? There were all these people within the right-wing circles of the internet who were saying that there is a coup being done. There is a coup currently being devised against a duly elected politician. This is the type of dialogue, the type of political discourse that we were hearing during that time. There's a coup out to get him. And the left just kept putting all sorts of information and details, trying to substantiate their assertion that there indeed was Russian collusion. Now, it is a fact that they were a bunch of Russian trolls, a bunch of Russian internet voices and activists who were pushing for Donald Trump. It's a fact. I've looked into this myself. I've spent a good amount of time looking into this. There were numerous, a plethora of Russian political websites, Twitter activists who were indeed pushing for Donald Trump, right? They wanted him to win. That's a fact. But they could never really prove that Trump had a direct a tie with these people, or a direct tie with this sort of internet operation. They couldn't prove it, right? People on the left, people on the anti-Trump train, they're still insisting that there was collusion. They're still insisting on it, even though Trump was supposedly found innocent of the charge. They're still insisting on it, right? They're still holding on to it. So people who hate Trump are still going to hate him. People who loved Trump during the Russian collusion accusations, they still love him. And they're like, well, whatever evidence that there is that there were Russians who loved Donald Trump and they wanted him to win, I don't really care about that because there's no evidence. And even if there was direct evidence, they would still reject it. Why? There's several things. There's several reasons why this sort of thing is the way it is. A lot of it is psychological. There's been a number of studies done on how Americans have a tremendous amount of party loyalty because Democrats and Republicans, they're both very loyal, generally speaking, they're both very loyal to their parties. And that loyalty is due to a certain narrative, right? Democrats have a certain narrative that the Democrat Party is all about helping the poor and all that stuff. Helping the poor, defending women's rights to choose, defending LGBT people, defending right-wing attempts to bridge the gap between separation of church and state. Like, people have all sorts of reasons as to why they love the Democrat Party, and there's all sorts of narratives that they hold on to that justifies their loyalty. It's the same thing with the Republicans, right? They love the Republican Party, and they have narratives that justify that loyalty. The Republican Party is going to defend my country more so than the Democrat Party. The Republican Party isn't going to betray the nation for Islam. And yeah, this is a narrative that a lot of people actually believe. The Republican Party is going to defend the unborn, even though they have never really managed to get rid of Roe v. Wade or outlaw abortion completely, or really outlaw abortion at all. I mean, they've made some sort of exceptions. They've won some legal battles, but they've never really gotten rid of abortion. It's still held as a constitutional right by the Supreme Court. But that's a different subject. They believe that the Republican Party is, going to whatever. They have all sorts of ideas. And so that loyalty is very, very strong. So even if it's like the Planned Parenthood thing. Remember when they showed how they had video footage? Was it David Daleiden? Had all this footage revealing that Planned Parenthood was involved, or has been involved in organs trafficking. They were making contracts with certain scientific laboratories, and these scientists were buying organs. And Planned Parenthood was involved in that sort of trafficking, and in organs trafficking. I mean, it was quite obvious. And people on the left are still saying, well, those videos were edited. You have to, they were taken out of context. It's like, well, in which context is this ever justified? It didn't matter, because those people are loyal to the idea of infanticide. That's just the bottom line. They're loyal to it. They don't give a damn. They'll talk about, oh, yes, we have to stop, child trafficking. We have to stop child slavery, child sex slavery. But, they're loyal to the idea of infanticide and abortion. They're loyal to this. And it's under this narrative of a woman's right to choose. The Republicans, they still love Donald Trump. It doesn't matter what information gets leaked out proving that Trump used U.S. government funds to aid Ukraine as a way to pressure Zelensky to announce an investigation on the Bidens or on Hunter Biden's role in the Burisma natural gas company. Donald Trump said, well, yeah, I did freeze those funds, but I didn't do it to get an investigation on Biden. Because again, the whole thing is about whether or not Trump used blackmail or used government funds to pressure a foreign government to investigate a U.S. citizen. Right? That's what this whole thing is about. It's about that. If they can show, yeah, it was to investigate a U.S. citizen, then they got their suspicions confirmed. Trump can't deny that he froze the funds. He did. It's a fact. So Trump's like, yeah, I did freeze those funds, but it was to investigate corruption in Ukraine, as if America all of a sudden cares about investigating corruption in Ukraine. And yes, Ukraine is a very corrupt country. There's plenty of corruption in Ukraine, as is in any country. But at the same time, though, it's hard for me to believe that like Trump all of a sudden cares about, we got to investigate corruption in the Ukraine. Plus, the current government in the Ukraine has marketed itself as an anti-corruption administration. Zelensky sold himself as a guy who was going to purge Ukraine from corruption. And so there actually, well, this is what I've read, there actually has been measures done by Zelensky to do that. But Trump said, I wanted to, make sure that Ukraine got rid of its corruption. So that's why I froze the funds. And then they said, well, the Ukrainians didn't even know that Trump froze the funds. Then it turned out that Ukraine knew that the funds were frozen, like when it happened. It was very obvious. And then there was this whole thing about how, well, yeah, Trump did freeze the funds, but his freezing of the funds was separate from his demand for an investigation on the Bidens or on, corruption or Burisma. And now Bolton has come out and said, actually, no, the whole thing is true. Like, yeah, Donald Trump really did freeze the funds in order to pressure Ukraine to announce an investigation. And now Trump wants to silence Bolton from testifying. And Trump's justification is, well, I have the power to do it. I can use my executive power to stop them. And his excuse is, well, Bolton could say something that could endanger America's national security. From what I have read, if Bolton is going to testify on something specific, like something that Trump specifically did in regards to this, in regards to his freezing of the funds, and in regards to something that Giuliani did in regards to this sort of situation, then Bolton has that legal right, that legal leeway to make that testimony. But watch, you'll see the right wing, you'll see the Ben Shapiro's pop up and say, oh no, for one thing, he has that right. He has the right to do it. I mean, executive order, he has the right, And he could say something that could damage national security. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah. And just, it's just like when Trump said, well, I froze the funds. Yeah, but it was to investigate corruption. And then freaking Ben Shapiro popped up and was like, well, yeah, you see, it was to fight corruption in Ukraine. That's the reason why. Where is Donald Trump freezing funds to Saudi Arabia for corruption? Like, it's such bullcrap. It's just crap. And then it turns out that, well, Giuliani, he was working with two Ukrainian businessmen, and these essentially were the mediators between the Trump administration and the Ukrainian government. You had Lev Parnas, and then you had that other guy, Igor Furman. And these two guys, I believe if one of them, I think Furman, is said to have had ties or to have ties with the Russian mafia. So the whole thing is sketchy. And for all we know, the whole thing is just a show, right? Because let's not forget, what's his name? Gordon Sondman, the U.S. ambassador to the EU, he said, listen, Trump just wanted Zelensky to announce. He didn't actually want an investigation, which is probably true. Why? Because what Trump wanted at the end of the day was a show. That's all this was about. It was about making a show. So Zelensky comes up and says, I'm going to announce an investigation on the Biden's activities with Burisma. And with that, Trump could have just said, look, the Ukrainians said they're going to do an investigation. What's going on? I'm just asking questions with those lips. I'm just asking questions. What? Tell us. It's like the Hillary Clinton email. Like, tell us, Hillary, what was in those emails? It was all a big show. Hillary Clinton can't even run a freaking fax machine. I mean, if you read the emails, the leaked out emails, Hillary's like, hey, I can't run a fax machine. This is the Hillary Clinton that, like, I don't know, she wants to start a war with Russia or something like that. She can't even run a fax machine. But that's what Trump would have done, right? If the situation had taken place as the way that he wanted it to happen. But guess what? It's a win-win because Trump still got a show because this whole thing's a show. Because now Trump can claim to be a victim and say, look, they're attacking me. They want to get rid of me. Vote for me. You got to vote for me or else you're going to get something. You're going to get Buttigieg. You're going to get that Yang guy. Biden's going to be president. You want another 4 years of Obama? He was the vice president for Obama. You're going to get Obama again. Obama. You're going to get Obama. And here's another thing. It doesn't matter how much proof the Democrats get against Trump. It doesn't matter how much proof the Democrats can obtain to prove their point that Trump froze the funds in order to pressure Ukraine to announce an investigation on the Bidens. Doesn't matter how much proof they get, because at the end of the day, there is a quick response that Republicans could use that marketing-wise would be very effective. You want to hear what it is? Here it is. Here it is. He did nothing illegal. That's what they're going to say. I mean, in fact, I'm already seeing people on Twitter use this argument. He did nothing illegal. What did he do that was illegal? Yeah, sure, we froze the funds. Yeah, sure, we wanted to get Zelensky to announce an investigation or whatever. But you know what? What did he do that was illegal? And I'll put nothing past the Republicans as far as what sort of defense they'll make up. For all we know, they could bring up the October surprise. They could say, well, hey, you know, when Reagan was running against Carter, his campaign guys were doing some pretty shady dealings with the Iranians about arms deals. They could bring that up and say, hey, Reagan was fine. Nothing happened to him. I put nothing past these people. Look, Trump's already trying to use his executive power to silence a witness. And what's amazing is that people who just loved John Bolton, oh, John Bolton's a great pick. Yes, you know, the old neocon guys. They are now agreeing with Trump trying to silence him. Wait a second. I thought Bolton was a genius. I thought Bolton was this brilliant strategist. I thought he was this amazing thinker when it came to policy, when it came to the U.S. government and national defense and all that stuff. And here is Bolton putting out this manuscript that he wrote that says, yeah, it's true. Trump did all that stuff. Giuliani, he's like a bomb that could blow up. He said something to the likes of that. Now they're saying, oh, no. Bolton shouldn't talk. Now they're supporting the idea of silencing him. Now they want to silence Bolton. I love this. You know, but for all we know, this could all just be a big show, right? For all we know. It could be just political theater. But we have to take things as the information is conveyed to us, right? We have to take in the information and deduce what we can get out of it, right? Deduce what we can from it. And from what I'm seeing here, it looks like it's quite obvious that Trump really did do this and that Trump is trying to silence a witness. using his executive power. Now think about it. If this were the other way around, and if this was, let's say, Obama, and Obama was doing some weird, shady dealings with, let's say, Libya. Let's say he was doing some stuff with, I don't know, the Government of National Accord or something. Or he was doing something with some Libyan rebels. And all of a sudden, there was a demand to investigate Obama. And one of his guys, some official at the Obama administration, I don't know, some guy who was the ambassador to the UN or something, comes out and says, listen, I got all the dirt. Here's a book that I wrote. Here's a draft for it. Read it. It's all in there. And Obama was trying to silence that witness. Silence him. Silence that guy. You really think you Republicans would be sitting there supporting the president, trying to silence a witness? Yeah. Seriously doubt that. So, yeah. That's my whole thing. Is this thing going to hurt Trump? No, it's actually helping him because at the end of the day, it's just a show. Anyway, those are my thoughts. You guys just heard some theology. God bless.